My lords, ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome to episode number 3 of the Japanese themed playthrough on Transport Fever 2. Now I'm hopeful that by the time this episode is live, the mod list for this series, including the map itself, will be available as a compilation via Steam, and I shall include the link to that in the description of this video, and I shall also go back and retrospectively edit the descriptions for episodes 1 and 2 to also include that mod list compilation, so if anybody fancies having a go with themselves, they can pick and choose the mods that are being used here. Obviously, I think the main one is going to be the map, of course. I must say I am thoroughly enjoying this map so far. It's clear that a lot of time and effort has gone into this, not only in the terrain, but also in the detailing of the towns and the cities. For example, the rather splendid looking temple that we can see just ahead of us there in the city of Uwajima. So, let's bring up the UI and see where we are with our current state of affairs. So we're up to around about 3 million in the bank. I have allowed the game to progress with the date paused just a little between episodes in order to build up a little bit of a war chest, so there's less hanging around and jump cuts in this episode, hopefully. And I have also gone ahead between episodes and made a few plans for the future and next steps in terms of the expansion of our infrastructure, and I've laid the groundwork for some of that already. And what we'll do now is we'll quickly talk through that before we go ahead and really get started with proceedings today. So one of the first things I've done, as you can see here, is we have 2 bus stops in the town of Izumimachi, and these are an intercity bus service running from Izumimachi into Uwajima. I've done this because, as we can see here by the amount of horses and carts on this little road connecting the 2 cities, there are a lot of people wanting to travel between the 2, so it's quite a lucrative market that we can tap into. And obviously having the buses on the lines or running on these roads should cut down on the amount of horses and carts running between these 2 towns as well. Now, one major change here, you may spot there is now a second rail line here on the far side of this platform. That's in anticipation for what we're going to do today. There is also now a full truck station at the industrial park by Uwajima, and our stone haulage wagons now call in here rather than using this drop-off point here. And again, that's all foreshadowing what we're going to be doing in today's episode. This passing loop has been extended, and we now have a set of midway signals as well. And lastly, we can see here we now have a 3rd platform available at this rapidly expanding cargo station by the food production plant at Iwanamori. So what is the plan for today then? What's all this leading towards? Well, the plan is we're going to start shipping these bricks that are being produced at these 2 factories here. We're going to drop them off at this newly created platform here. I forgot to mention that there's now a 3rd platform here. Those bricks will then be loaded onto our freight exchange rail station. We'll have a rail line that runs up to the food production station here at Iwanamori using this newly created 3rd platform. And then what we're going to do finally is a delivery line from this truck station here into the town of Iwanamori itself, as they do require bricks to stimulate some growth. So with all that infrastructure ready to go, we should be pretty much ready to start things off. So what we're going to do first of all is the delivery line from the truck station here into Iwanamori. I always like to start at the end and work backwards, if that makes any sort of sense. That way when you get your brick delivery going down here, everything is ready and waiting, so it should start drawing that demand immediately. For example, if we were to start with the brick delivery and amend this stone freight line to also bring the bricks back with them, they wouldn't produce any of the bricks yet because there's nowhere for them to go from here. So doing it backwards ensures that the rest of the following chain is in place and ready to go as soon as this initial bit gets set up, and I hope that makes sense. So let's make a start then. So what we're going to do is we're going to set up a new line that runs from here into Iwanomori. Now we might be able to just use this drop off point here, but we will validate that. Let's see. Do you know what? I think we probably can just share this drop off point here at Kaizu Street, which is going to save us a tiny bit of money, which is always nice. So we're going to do that. We want to colour this red, of course, because these are handling bricks, or they will be handling bricks. And we like them to be fully loaded. In fact, no. And I'll tell you why. We're going to go for load if available. Simply because I don't want a large chain of trucks backing up onto this street here and causing an unnecessary traffic jam. So we'll just have these set to load if available. Once the line starts producing and things start flowing properly, well, then we can possibly change it, but for now we are just going to stick to load if available. However, of course, we do want to stipulate that they only take bricks. We don't want them to start picking up any of the food, just like that. So we're going to name this now the brick delivery, and this is for the town of Iwanomori. I believe that's correct. It looks correct to me. There we go. It might also be worthwhile doing the same on this line, loading if available. They're already stipulated to only take the bread, so that's fine. And again, we don't want our food pickup vehicles to block any waiting brick pickup vehicles that might be wanting to get onto the platform, especially while we are only running the one train per line. Right, so the line's set up. Let's go ahead and get the vehicles. To start with, we'll just go for 2. We may as well start small. And we'll colour them the line colour and set them on the way. So for the first handful of deliveries, they're not going to be carrying anything, of course, because there's no bricks ready for them. So with that in mind, it's probably not a bad idea to go ahead and get the next part of this chain set up, which is of course the brick freight train. So again, we're colouring this red. Now when it gets to Uwajima Freight Exchange, we do want this to wait for a full load here. And once again, we want to make sure that they only take bricks. Now we could, in the future, decide to swap these two lines. Or when I say swap, what I mean is we could have a mixed consist on one of these lines and then do away with the other one. So the train would pick up the stone, drop it off, and then pick up the bricks and drop it off. But for now, it's on easy mode. There's no harm in going ahead and having a separate line for it. Over at Iwanomori, we want to make sure they don't load anything, of course. And let's just quickly name this line as well. And this is our brick freight. And this is Uwajima, as that's the, even though it's not the first station on the standing orders, it is the first station, that's where it's been picked up from, so we'll call it Uwajima to Iwanomori. That way we know where it's picking up and where it's delivering to. So that's that. We have about 2.5 million, so we can get the train straight away. And we'll build a similar sort of consist that we have with our initial trains. And we want the flat car with side stakes. And I think we have 7. What's that? That's 6. There's 7. 1.8 million, so we can afford it. We want to colour it red so it's distinguishable. And we want to set that on the line. Okay, there we go. That should all be fine. So the last thing we need to do now is amend this line, so it's not just hauling the stone, it'll also pick up the bricks on its way back. So let's do that. So here, that's the wrong icon, there we go. We want you to unload the bricks. And over here, full load. There's nothing else using this, so there's no danger of causing any sort of traffic jam up here, of course. You're loading the bricks and you are unloading the stone. We'll keep it that colour, and we'll also keep the name for now. Yes, yeah, we'll keep the name for now. And then that should start triggering some production. Yeah, there we go. The production is starting. Obviously, they don't have any stone available at the moment, so we're not going to see much production. I think now it's not a bad idea to increase the amount of vehicles we have on this line. We only have the 3, which is not nearly enough, so I think we'll increase it to 10. There we go. So 10 vehicles now operating on this line. That should keep us in a decent supply of stone. Well, decent enough, better than it is at the moment, of course. As well as keeping a steady flow of bricks through into here. That way, when the train comes alongside to collect the bricks, the train's not going to be waiting for a ridiculous amount of time for the bricks to be produced. So the train is heading to Iwanamori first, which is fine. It's just going to go there, turn around and head straight back. We could flip it right now because it's on a 2-way track and it is clear on this block. So shall we do that? No. And I'll tell you why. If we were to flip it now, it would have to go all the way past this signal to free up this train, which is waiting to come and drop off and make us a bit of money. Whereas if we leave it, it's only got this shorter distance to go. So we'll leave that train doing its own thing. I suppose it does give time for some bricks to start being populated down here. Do we have anything at all yet? Yes, we do. We have 2. Now this is a 1-to-1 ratio, so there's no harm in allowing these to wait for a full load. How many do you have at the moment? 2, and nothing else is going to be produced because there's no stone. So let's send you on your way manually, otherwise you're going to be sat there for an awfully long time wondering why there's no bricks coming your way. And we don't want that, of course, because that wouldn't help anybody. Okay, so with that new production line set up, let's head back over to Uejima where we just were. And what we might want to consider is having a delivery line from here over into Izumimachi, because these also require the bricks. Now we'd struggle to find the space for some sort of cargo station over here, especially in this little area, and I think we did allude to the fact that this will be a very large station which serves the 3 cities and all of these industries here. So rather than having a train deliver the bricks over to here, we'll just do it via road delivery vehicle. Didn't mean to pause it right there, sorry about that. And the plan is, we have this road here. I thought there were tram lines on there, but no, they're not. It's just the tyre marks on the cobble street there. Yes, so we'll have the trucks head this way and in, because if they were to come all the way down here, it's going to add a lot longer onto their journey time, and that's just unnecessary wastage. So I have prepared this road in advance. What are you doing? Oh, I see. It looks like our food delivery trucks now do a loop. Well, that's quite pleasant. As you can see here, I have used some waypoints to marshal the vehicles in and out of this station, so there's no more turning around on the platform. But enough about that, let's get this next line set up. So we're going from Uejima Industrial Park, coloured red. Again, we want to set that to load if available, because we don't want to cause the stone drop-off trucks to get held up by these trucks waiting for bricks to be produced when there's no stone left in stock, and they can't get the stone because the stone trucks are being held up, if you follow. So yes, we're going from there and we're heading over here. Now what are we missing? Of course, we're missing a drop-off point. That would help, wouldn't it? Let's get one of those. So the bricks are right at the back end of town, and I think if we go there, that will be fine. Let's go back to the line manager, add station, you're coming into there and then heading back Oh, so you're actually going to pass through town through here. Well, that's fair enough. If that's the way you want to go, then so be it. We might have to change that later if the traffic gets too heavy over here, but for now it's going to work okay. And this is our brick delivery. And is it Uzumi Marchi? It is indeed. Let's just have it on screen there so I can make sure I get the spelling correct, even though we have it right there now that I look at it. So let's copy off of there, Uzumi Marchi. Wonderful. The other thing we're going to want to consider doing as well is setting these to load if available. And we're not going to do it there, we're going to do it there. So at the industrial park, load if available. There we go, perfect. Alright, so now we can buy the vehicles, the delivery vehicles for Uzumi Marchi. Now it's travelling a fair old distance, so I think we can get away with quite a few vehicles on here just because of how far they have to travel. And I dare say we'll go for 5. Now that's not really a lot, but when you consider I only had 2 serving Iwanamori, well done, I remembered it. Then yeah, 5 is a lot more, it's more than double, so yeah, there we go. Oh look, we have our first units of levitating bricks. Well, I suppose it saves on foundation costs when you're building, so that's something. Not entirely sure what's happening there. Ooh, yes, I think I know what it is. And I think we have the money to fix it. Let's go to configure. What we want to do is delete this platform all the way back. And I think we'll go, I think we need the raised platforms. Now hopefully this is not going to mess up our lines too much, but we'll see what happens. Now these are only single wide as you can see, so we have to double them up manually. Right, let's see, has that messed up any lines? Yes. Yes, because all 3 are now using the 1 platform. That's what we don't want to have happen. Let's just dump you onto terminal 2, that's better. The bricks have been eaten by the ether, which is rather disconcerting. Oh, had it paused. Okay. Yes, things look okay, even if our first load of bricks, like I said, have just disappeared off somewhere. Well, if they can levitate, I suppose they can also vanish. I suppose it's also going to save on transportation costs, not just the cost of the foundation, so there you go. Obviously, Japan is one of the countries that are associated with being at the forefront of technology, and it's clear to see why. They have floating bricks that can teleport. Very Star Trek. There we go, just fill it. Again, didn't mean to pause that, but yes, fill in that grass there and convert it all to ballast. Right, so where did our bricks go? Can we find them? Are they just gone forever? I'm going to go ahead and assume that they are. How are we doing over here? So you're dropping off and you are picking up some, that's good. And you're not hanging around too long, which is also a very good. None of the new vehicles that we purchased to deliver into Uzumi Marchi have yet arrived because they are coloured red, so they will stand out from these ones. Right, where is the first one? Let's see if we can spot the first one on its way. Which way are you coming, guys? Well, you've come from that station. Is this you over here? No, you are food. Have they all gone into Uzumi Marchi first of all? Well, I don't know where they... Was that one of them? No. Where did they go? Oh, there's one. There should be 5 of them somewhere. Well, that's another mystery. Let's just verify that. Did I purchase 5? I'm sure I did. No vehicles. Did I not assign them onto the line then? I certainly didn't. What an idiot. Let's try that, shall we? That might help. Okay, there we go. That should bear a lot more fruit than it would have done previously. It's always important to check these things, so yes. So there's our brick train waiting for clearance, which is fine because we don't have any bricks waiting for it because we just swallowed them up. But we should have some on the way here. Yep, we've got 2 there, 4 there, 3 there. Yeah. Starting to produce nicely. Still down to 0 stock of stone, however, so it might even be worth doubling these up once again. We have 800,000, 600,000, somewhere like that. I think we could afford to get 20. We certainly can. I mean, we have plenty of stone available here. Look, 61 units. So the next step we may have to make is doubling up our stone delivery train, which is somewhere. That's in right there. Now, if we're going to do that, what we have to be mindful of is if there's no stone on the platform for the train to load up, and the next train is right behind him, say we've got one train on platform waiting, the next stone train is here, then any other train, such as the brick train and the food train, are going to be stuck here and all the way back here. So we're going to have to consider doing a bit of stabling work. And I think all we do is quite simply put a third track here, not a very long piece, just a little bit of a stable track. And we'd put a couple of signals in, maybe 2, one before the junction, then maybe a midpoint one around about here. And we'd ensure that our stone trains are using this stabling track, and our brick delivery trains and the food trains remain on this existing track. That way, if there is one waiting here, the next train would wait off here, and this would keep this bit of track free for our other lines that are coming through here. And that should reduce any hold-ups that we might end up seeing. Do we have the money to do that immediately? Well, we don't have the money to duplicate the train. Certainly not. We only have 400,000. But let's see if we have enough to do the stabling ready. Right, so what we're going to do is quickly pause it. We're going to delete that signal because it's going to have to be repositioned. Otherwise it's going to be sat on the middle of these new tracks, and that's, while it wouldn't affect the trains, it would look a little bit odd. So yes, if we go to about there, and then tie it in there, and then we want the signals back. There we go, passing signal. Passage and stop version, I don't suppose it really matters, it's just for aesthetics, but we'll go for this one anyway. So we'll have one there, and that one there, and them to obviously marshal the trains in and out on this little section of one-way track here, bi-directional track here. And then, as I said, if we have a second one just round about there, yeah, that's fine. And then what we want to do, in anticipation and preparation for what we just discussed, is go to our stone freight line. The heading back to Iwanamori, so after Uwajima, we want you to hit that signal and that signal. Wonderful. So now that gives our stone trains, because we are going to duplicate them in the very near future, somewhere to wait so they're clear of the main line. That means our food pickup delivery and the brick drop-off train are not going to get held up. There we go. Forward thinking and planning is always a good idea. How are we doing over here? We have our first load of bricks for Izumamarchi, 3 of them. These haven't spaced themselves out yet. Hopefully they will do in the not too distant future. Here come our brick delivery vehicles. Now that we've actually assigned them to the line, of course, and they're not just sat in the depot wondering what we're going to do with them. They're on the way. So the first one's going to take all 3 of those, unless more get dumped on in the meantime, and the others will run empty. But given time, everything should sort itself out quite nicely. So what I think we're going to do now is accelerate at 4 times speed, just to get things flowing a little bit faster. Obviously we are looking to accumulate some cash here in order to duplicate our stone train. We've got our first lot of bricks back on the platform here, 20 of them to be exact, and here comes the train now. Has a capacity of 49, so we will wait on the platform for a little while, but that's not a problem at all. While he's waiting on the platform, you do pay reduced maintenance fees, of course, so it's not a bad thing at all. I just noticed that while our first set of bricks were levitating, the second set were so heavy they'd actually sunk into our platform. So whether our platforms are made of plasticine and Play-Doh, I don't know. Either way, we can't win. We either have them levitating or sunken in. We'll go for this sunken in. I mean, these are the Japanese themed platforms, so we may as well use them to fit in with the theme of the map. Are you causing... No, you're not causing any problems there, that's fine. Although, you might start to cause a few issues, and you're waiting for a stone delivery, aren't you? Luckily, we have one on the way. Of course, if we find out that these do start causing... You should be waiting until full. What are you doing? Okay, well, you can go for now. That's fine. But next time, I do want you to wait until full. So yes, apologies for that. I just had a phone call that I had to take, so if you notice a sort of jump cut there, that is why. So yes, it's set up here to wait for a full load next time. Yes, I couldn't remember if I did that before I had to take the phone call. Right, so as we can see, we are having a bit of an issue here insofar as that our stone delivery or pickup vehicles here are now occupying the platform. That's obviously stopping more bricks getting onto the platform, as well as our food delivery vehicles from picking up. So what we're going to do is, don't click that, send you on your way. And in fact, we'll do the same thing here. We want you to just take what's available for that. And we may as well do the same on this line, just in case we have a repeat performance from the food pickup vehicles as well. What am I doing? Docks? No, I don't think we will, but it's better to make sure, isn't it? So there we go. So these will start departing, although the stone's just been dropped off, which is fortuitous timing, so they will now start leaving with a full load. I think it's probably also not a bad idea if we can squeeze them in to extend the platforms on here, because I don't think they're quite big enough to take a full train load in one go. Just got a quick auto save there, but it's gone away now. There we go. Where are you going? What are you doing up there? Have I just confused everything? Oh, I don't know what they're playing. Oh, you silly devils. Anyway, yes, I think... Oh, even if these platforms could currently handle a full load, obviously as we start to expand and increase the train length as we unlock more powerful locomotives, then yeah, these small platforms wouldn't handle a full load, so it's probably not a bad idea to expand them. Anyway, another thing, don't do that. Another thing we're going to do is just very quickly, oh no, we have no money. I was just going to terraform this and smooth this little ridge here, but we don't have the money for that, so forget I said anything, that's not happening. 39 bricks there, so a decent amount for when the train comes back. Now, we are starting to see a lot more waiting around here, and that's likely because we now have 3 trains running on this little section of track. As I said, that's soon to be 4 trains if we're able to duplicate this train over here in the near future. So it might now be a decent idea to consider having the entire length of this double tracked, or at least from this signal to these signals here. So this little bit where we're going to the tunnels, we might want to double track all of this just to keep the traffic flowing a little bit smoother. We don't want any hold-ups on our deliveries, of course, because that's going to cost us money, and it's going to cause our vehicles a lot more waiting around as well. And that's something we really want to avoid if possible. So these are pumping out a decent amount. Obviously there's 2 here, so yeah, we're doing pretty well over there. About 50 being produced per year at the moment. Do we have the money? Yes, I think we do. We do have the money now to duplicate all of this. So let's go ahead and do that. So we want the tracks. And we're just going to go the entire length if we can afford it. I think we should be able to, looking at it. Ooh, no. So we can't do the whole lot. That's fine. What we will do instead is take it from here and merge them together just prior to this tunnel here. Now we're going to need some passing signals, of course, for all of this now. So these are one way. So one there. We can unpause it. None of our trains are confused as to what's happening, which is good. That can be duplicated to form a midpoint signal. And I think we'll go for one more. Oh, bugger. Not that. Try that again. Yeah, we'll go for one more about there. And that should work. Just enough, just before the money dripped into the negative. So good timing there. This track now needs changing because at the moment the trains can't head that way because this is a one-way track in the opposite direction. So what we're going to need to do is put a very quick, cheap and easy passing or crossover point here. Speed does not matter at all. Let's save money here and have it as short as we possibly can. There we go. Yeah, the speed's irrelevant because the trains are just heading out on their way to join their lines at that point. We don't have any active traffic using this, if that makes sense. So yes, as soon as we get enough, which is not looking likely for a while, although we do have a train about to drop off. Oh no, it's just picking up. You don't actually make any money at this point, do you? You just pick up the bricks. But you've got a full load, which is great. So when's our next money maker? Here it comes. Now the handy thing about this is if the spacing's nice and done correctly, then we'll have money coming in a little bit faster, because rather than having all of our train lines only making money at this end of the line, we now have a line that makes money at this end of the line. Of course, if the spacing's all to cock, then that doesn't matter a jot, but hopefully that should work out quite nicely and we shouldn't have such a long interval between our little money makers arriving. I don't even think this train's going to produce enough to get us out of the red at this point, which is unfortunate. We don't need much. Well, half a minute. Oh, it's getting worse. Yeah, I still think we're going to be in the negative here. Of course, now that the brick train is getting bedded in correctly. Oh, yes, we can afford this passing line. We don't need it. It's only 2,000, but we may as well put it in. Anyway, as I was saying, now that this train line is getting bedded in correctly, insofar as it's getting a full load when it arrives, then we should be in a much stronger position going forwards. How are you doing? Oh, you've had your first few deliveries, which is fantastic to see. No hassles over here. We do have... oh, that's a stone haulage. Okay. Yes, I thought we had a lot of traffic down here. Well, we do. I thought it was private traffic. However, as we can see, it's all of our own making. Never mind. How is this line doing? Very busy, very popular. Let's go ahead. Oh, we can't afford it. We're going to be able to soon, but we are going to duplicate these and have 6... I hesitate to use the term buses. Well, yes, we're going to have 6 of them rather than 3. As soon as he's dropped off, we should be able to accomplish that. Come on, you beggar, get in there. Wonderful. There we go. How are our bus lines doing in Uejima itself? Very popular. A lot of crowding at the stations, as we can see. And these already have 6 on there. I'm reluctant to go any higher at this point, so we'll just leave them to their own business. Uejima's starting to expand quite nicely. Now, I am mindful that at some point we're going to want a passenger station in Uejima, and I want to make sure we're left with enough room to put one in. So let's just see where we want to have it. Is it worth building it now, even though it's going to be sat idle costing us money for a while? It's probably not the worst idea. How would that be right there? I think that would work. Try and keep it flat at both ends if we can. Around about there. Yeah, let's build it now. That way they're not going to box us out. We're going to need a road access, of course. we're not going to get this passenger line set up in today's episode. This is just for future expansion and just to make sure we've got the room to do what we want to do, rather than having to work around the AI or having to demolish their streets at quite a princely cost. So yes, get it in position ready. Can't afford the road. That's a little unfortunate. Do we have any money makers on the way? What are you? I think you're brick, aren't you? Yes, you are. You're red, so you're not going to make us any money on the all current leg. You will. You're about halfway there. So as soon as he's dropped off, then yes, we will go ahead and what am I circling that for? Yes, we'll build this station here. That way we've not been boxed out of the city, because Uwajima is expanding quite extensively, quite quickly, which is good to see. And we're only producing or providing one of the goods that they require. We still need to get machinery into here. I'm not even seeing where the nearest machinery factory is. Let's have a look. Do we have one through here anywhere? Not looking like it. Well, getting the machines down here, wherever they're coming from, looks like it could be a bit of a logistical dance. The upside to that, of course, is it's going to cost us, or it's going to make us a lot of money just because of the distance it's travelling. So that's pleasing. Where is the machinery factory? We've only got one. Do we have any? There's got to be one somewhere, surely. Going a bit laggy here because I have a construction pending, of course. Oh, here's one. Down at Yawatahama. Well, that's a fair old trek to get up to Uwajima, but as I said, the flip side to that is it's going to make a heck of a lot of money per delivery. So right, build the road. There we go. So yeah, we've got a passenger station ready, and in fact I think we'll start on our passenger lines. We'll put our first one in the next episode. And I think to start with, given how popular this is for private transportation, we'll have a little service between Izumimachi and Uwajima. That's pretty much going to render this bus service obsolete, so we might have to trim back the amount of vehicles running on that, but that's no problem. And of course we also want to have a line up to Iwanamori. However, the terrain is very restrictive, so we might have to do that in a few episodes time, once we've hit that snowball phase and we've got more money than we're ever going to need, because it's going to take some extensive terraforming or some viaduct work to get into here. Either way, it's going to be very interesting and should be quite scenic for a train ride. But for today, we're going to pause it. Haha, no. For today, we're going to end the episode at this point, foreshadowing what's coming in the next episode, of course, with this passenger station right here, as well as the fact I just said that's what I'm planning to do in the next episode. Between episodes I will leave it running again, but I'll keep the date paused, and I'll set it paused now so don't miss anything when we take a cab ride for the outro. And I'll likely go ahead and duplicate our stone train off camera between episodes and give that time to bed in before we settle in for episode number 4, at which point we're going to start on our passenger network, as I just said. So I hope you've enjoyed this episode and you're enjoying the start of this series. It's a bit slow and steady for the first few episodes, of course, but that will change in the not too distant future, I am sure. As I also said, the mod list should now be available for you on the Steam Workshop, and a link will be provided down below, so you can check that out and download any of the mods that you see in use here, or you could go ahead and download all of them if you so wished. Obviously the main one, as I said right at the very start, is the map itself, which is an absolutely stunning map, and I'm really enjoying it so far. So yes, if you are enjoying the series and you've enjoyed this episode, then go ahead and hit that thumbs up button there down below. Give that a little tickle. It really does help the series and the channel. And speaking of helping the channel out, if you'd like to do that, then go ahead and subscribe as well to get notified of the future episodes as and when they are released. But for now, all that remains for me to say is take very good care of yourselves, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get on board here. Oh, we need to slow it down as well. Yes, take very good care of yourselves, ladies and gentlemen. Let's try that again. It's ta-ta for now.